Hey you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of BoisChat. Today, as always, we have someone that really wants to go to sleep, Mr. Andres Pereira, and my other friend, Dan Magne, aka Magnetic, aka Dan Mag, depending on who you ask. Today, we have a very rowdy episode because we are on the eve of the E3. I've seen a couple of people that have said that we shouldn't expect much of this E3, and I think is really stupid. But before I get your opinions on this topic, we're going to tell you guys about the official schedule of the E3 2021. June 12th, we start with Ubisoft and Gearbox. June 13th, we start with an Xbox panel, Square Enix, Warner Brothers Games, the PC Gaming Show, and Future Gaming Show. June 14, we have the Take-Two and Capcom, and finally, we round up the E3 on June 15th, my anniversary, by the way, with Nintendo and Bandai Namco. So, what are your thoughts on E3? What are you looking forward to? What do you want to see?
Least
Well,
like
yeah, you go first.
okay, so I at least like to know how Metroid Prime 4 is going.
Okay.
That's a really big thing I've been, waiting for the past gaming shows and so on and so forth. They've had to reset their progress because of some things that happened, some problems. So I'm hoping to see some kind of teaser, trailer, video, whatever, even if it's just 10 seconds, please.
I'm with you on that one, definitely. Go, Dan. What do you want to see? What's like your number one stuff?
Battlefield. I want to see a full-blown demo of Battlefield. We are gonna talk about that a little bit further. But yeah, I've been waiting a lot to hear about Battlefield, especially Battlefield 6. Oh, I don't know how they're gonna call it because as of now they have only called it Battlefield. I guess that if I had to pick a game that I wish they would announce, I hope we get some advances maybe from Overwatch. Probably, maybe, uh, if it's a possibility. And okay, here's one that I'm really curious if they're gonna show it. I want to see if they're gonna show any gameplay from Lies of P, the
Okay.
Pinocchio game.
I don't know.
I really want to see it.
Where does it fall? That will be Xbox, right? Or something like that during those days?
Lies of P, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's gonna be cross-platform. I think
Okay.
it's gonna come up from all the platforms. But I'm really curious as how. I just want to see Pinocchio's face. I want to see if they give him like an anime face, and then his nose just go bigger, but somehow he looks very handsome, and you're like, wow, that's new.
It will be really, really fun, actually. What I'm looking forward for Nintendo is, especially, I want to see Bayonetta 3. Okay, that's what
Okay.
I want to see. I want to see Bayonetta 3. That's what I want. If you ask me, that's what I want. But, okay,
fair.
jumping from this, we're going to bring you a really fun story about piracy, not needing a lawyer, and doing illegal stuff. Okay? So imagine, for whatever reason, you are facing a legal procedure against yourself. What's the first thing that you do? What?
I
At
cry.
least get a lawyer.
At least you get a lawyer. Like, we have very two valid points of what they are. But I'm going to read you this headline. Okay, a ROM site owner decided to fight Nintendo in court and lost $2.1 million. And the now closed ROM Universe operator defended himself without an attorney in court.
Yes.
It was fucked from the start now.
Okay, let's branch out to what's wrong with this. Number one, you're a ROM site owner. Nintendo has gone ballistic against any site that is able to distribute ROMs from their company online. like you have Emu Paradise, which was like the cornerstone of emulation and everything for the longest time, and they delisted a variety of games when Nintendo started doing all this cease and desist. They did the right thing. This side, I know ROM universe. We're from a country that emulation is absolutely we're no stranger to emulation. But this guy had a couple of things going for itself. Number one, he was hosting a ROM site, which it's already fucked from the start. Number two, he was charging people from premium accounts to have higher download speeds, which is illegal because you're sending something that is not yours. And by the end, he decided to go against Nintendo without an attorney.
That takes the cake.
I think as soon as you said he went against Nintendo, that's when you know you lost. I mean, it's stupid. Like, here's the thing. First, you know you're doing something bad. Like, it's gonna get you in trouble. Then, when you get in trouble, you're like, oh, hell no. I'm gonna fight for it. It's basically, okay, it's kind of like if you're a criminal and you just robbed a bank, but you're telling everybody, oh, yeah, I robbed the bank. And then the police comes to your house and you go, you know what? I'm going to defend myself in court while wearing a shirt saying I did it. And then just showing up in court, like flipping the bird to everybody and saying, oh yeah, I'm different. It's so stupid. I mean, first of all, you go against Nintendo. I think Nintendo is like the Disney of gaming. Of like their core houses should be full, and as of now, you know, if you're going against Nintendo, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna get a really good lawyer, but nevertheless, take something, man. I mean, what did you do? What were you thinking? Like, so stupid.
Okay,
Dude, there are state attorneys for that. The government pays for them.
Yes. But, dude, it's just like Dan said. You came into the courtroom with a shirt that said, I did it. it's
like appealing to the core. It's like saying, oh, yeah, I did it. They should pay me. Like, just imagine. Like, just imagine the jury. Like, they would have just said, really, man?
Really?
I mean, we can do this, but really?
He said stuff, there are like some stuff. It's a really fun read. He was saying that some of the most trademarked games, he didn't upload them. Like he threw the blame to users of the platform. And when you go into the site and look for the poster, it says his name.
No.
Oh my god. That's the ultimate. Dude, it was just a prank, bro. I mean, that's the ultimate pull of a prank.
Now, we're going to the next article because I know we want to still want to roast this guy, but as we said before, we don't condone emulation or stealing from other people. This is just a story that came out of the grade of insanity that is involved to go against a multi-billion company as Nintendo without an attorney. Okay, do stuff right. Okay, we're going to go into the next article, which is going to be that Cyberpunk maker, aka CD Projekt Red, reports slump in quarterly profit amid PlayStation delisting. For those who live under a rock, Cyberpunk 2077 became one of the biggest disappointments of 2020. Came out with a myriad of bugs, really bad performance issues, and an absolutely lackluster looks and performance on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Especially if you own a base PlayStation 4, which at the time was over 70% of the PlayStation 4 population. You can see that, and PlayStation subsequently delisting the game from online stores. This is absolutely no surprise, because as we saw before, Cyberpunk run like crap on PC, which was like the most favorable thing, and there were many other things, like reviewers could only use on release date, after the embargo was done of the reviews, they could only use footage provided by CD Projekt Red themselves. They could not use their own footage. There have been outlets, especially like journalists like Young Yeah, that he was thinking on deleting his video on Cyberpunk because he said that it was disingenuous, because he couldn't bring himself to the point of slandering a game that had so much promise, with developers saying that the game will be ready when it needs to be ready and stuff of the sort. And overall, it's really sad, but I don't know you guys, but I think it's well deserved. If you release an incomplete behemoth of a game that had so many stuff, the compilations of bugs on the internet goes for hours and hours and hours. And to put the cherry on top of the cake, there was a recent leak on information from CD Projekt Red that included files from Cyberpunk, The Witcher, and everything. The producers had their own comedy bug montage before release of Cyberpunk. They knew.
For the meme.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much obvious since all the footage that, like you said, all the footage they allowed people to get on their videos were theirs, so as to not look like a piece of shit, you know.
They did a curated. It was a curated damage control. Like, there are some good things from that data leak. Like, there's an upcoming ray tracing version for The Witcher 3. I think it's the Thronebreaker, which is another game from theirs. Like, there are some good things. But this is a slap in the face of people that defended CD Projekt Red that they didn't know. Dude, they created a comedy reel.
Here's the thing. Whenever you go... Okay, so one of the biggest letdowns to Cyberpunk, I remember that was announced first like 7 years ago, maybe. They had like this little trailer like with this girl doing the mantis blades and stuff and that, and you were like, oh wow, this is so intricate. And then you knew CD Projekt Red was doing it, so you were like, okay, so The Witcher kicks ass. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be really good. And some people thought that it was gonna be kind of like the future Witcher, and then they show the first demos. I think that you did like a mini mission when you have to rescue a girl or something like that.
Okay.
And it wasn't like the best thing ever, but you saw the engine, you saw how everything worked, and you saw how they were telling, oh, you have these ways of doing this and this and this and this, and you have like a full-on mission, and it's gonna be so huge. And they said it's gonna be a CD Projekt Red story-driven game, and The Witcher takes, I think it's like 500 hours of gameplay if you go through all the DLCs and the double and
without
the
the
missions
expansions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's without the expansions or with the expansions, but nevertheless, you know it's gonna be huge. And then, yeah, and then I think the biggest reveal for me was whenever I saw Keanu Reeves, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best game in the freaking world. It has Keanu Reeves.
Also,
And then-
let's add to that the fact that they garnered a huge amount of goodwill, because they were saying that games should release when they're done, when they're complete. Like, they had a lot of goodwill from everyone. Like,
It was
everyone and their
delayed.
mother was defending them, and they delayed the game
It-
how many times? 2 times? 3
I
times?
think no, I think it was like 4 times. I even remember that whenever we had it was going on in April, and then they say, oh no, it's gonna be in June, and then I don't remember when it was released, but then in June it got another delayed, and then the thing is that whenever the game came out, there were some initial bugs, and people were like, okay, yeah, initial bugs. Who doesn't get initial bugs? Like, Witcher 3 had initial bugs. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just gonna fix them. And then people were saying, so basically either my game doesn't run, or there are cars falling out of the sky, or I just finished the whole mission in like 5 days.
Yes.
So you have 3 problems. First, you have the problem that you basically lie to the community, to the audience, and also to the stakeholders, because they said it. And whenever they did you remember the press release when they were talking about all the problems, they said like, oh, we knew there could be problems with the PS4 import, but we didn't thought they were gonna be this bad. It's like, no, you knew. I mean, come on, dude. You knew.
You definitely knew. But
You
let's
knew.
go.
You just imagine people were not gonna play it on PS4.
Of
That's the problem.
course, and they also showed one of the pre-release pictures were from videos were from the PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One Series X. Like they knew flat out. But I want to know from someone that actually played the game. Andres, you played it with your brother, and what did you experience? Like, did you like it? Was it what you hoped for? Did it become better? I want to know because that's like one of the important things about it.
So yeah, the first playthrough it was a mess. It had graphical bugs, it had normal bugs. You clipped out of everything. You received fall damage out of nowhere. We had these running gag of the tree overlords because the trees would literally, I mean, you could be in a room and there will be palm trees just clipping out of the picture and showing up even between the walls. It was insane.
What the hell?
The bushes, the trees, everything, you could see them a mile away, even through buildings, everything.
Dude,
I
that's
I think one of
awful.
the biggest memes that I mentioned Keanu Reeves because like again, if you live under a rock, Keanu Reeves is like it's not Keanu Reeves. His name is Johnny. I don't know what the hell.
Silverhand.
And he's like a guy. He follows you around, and then a lot of people made memes around it. But I remember that there was this horrible. It was a meme showing how it looked on the PS4. That he looked like a PS1 character. Like it was
Yes,
so
I
badly
saw
rendered,
that.
and people were saying like, "Oh, maybe Neo didn't got out of the matrix correctly," and like it was bad. And the thing is, like, I was really looking forward to Cyberpunk a lot. Like, I was not gonna buy it on the stop because I wanted to do what I did with The Witcher 3. I bought it when they did like the huge patch for the graphical content. And even when they did the big patch, because they did a big patch, people were saying like, "Oh, so some things seem like they were fixed." I mean, there were some problems that are not happening anymore. There were a lot of bugs that were still going on, and then people were saying like, "Okay, here's the thing. Apparently, they are fixing the like we gave them a list of bugs, and they are going by the bugs that are the funniest. They're not fixing the game. They're fixing the funniest bugs." So that you cannot notice the other bugs. And it's like, dude, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm gonna laugh if a car comes out of the sky, of course. But for example, if there's a dude that is like in the game, I shot him in the face and he literally walks away through a wall instead of like a die animation, I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is pretty weird.
Yes.
And it's no strange to me that they got what they deserved. As of now at least for me they lost all kind of like future respect
Yeah, and
and
goodwill.
future
Like people are not going to
yes
ever like give them the benefit of the doubt. Either they show me
yes
something that is good and worth it, or you pack your bags and go away.
It's a tough, difficult decision because the people who actually made the game, I mean, not everything is as it seems because behind the scenes there could be really struggling. I mean, corporate decisions are not always the wisest, and you cannot downplay the game you're selling,
Yes.
not even one bit. And that's what happened to Hello Games with No Man's Sky. So I think this is, well, I'm not sure because I don't know what's going on behind the screen, but I think it could be somewhat related.
Yes. I totally agree with that. But jumping into a different note, we're going with a couple of announcements from the gaming community right now. And then we can end this episode for today. So let's get started. Number one is the fact that EA will reveal the next Battlefield game on June the 9th. So Dan, how you feeling, man?
so freaking happy. There's like I remember it was announced last week. They said like, oh yeah, it's coming June 9th. And I think it was yesterday they released the video you sent me that it basically said June 9th we're gonna have Battlefield. And they did what they did with Battlefield 4. They released like a little bit of the soundtrack and then they show Battlefield. And it's all blue now for some reason. And and I'm so freaking thrilled, like I am, because I'm a big Battlefield fan.
Especially of
Since,
the
like,
fourth installment.
if you go through all the Battlefields, Battlefield 4, I think it was the one that hit the nail with like, oof, perfect. And then Battlefield 1, I really enjoyed it. There's people that didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it, but I know the flaws it has. And then Battlefield 5, I don't know what the hell was that was. I played it. I just said I played it. I played it. Somehow there's a guy without a hand shooting at me in World War II. I don't know. And then they went with like, oh, now we're gonna make it right. We're gonna give you. It was in Omaha. I think it was Iwo Jima, and it looked really realistic. And I was like, good. That's awesome. I got in the game, and there's a gun on the other side of the map that you cannot use it. Like, you can get on it, and it's not gonna aim at anything, and it sucks. But I played it, and I'm really excited because the latest there was some leaks. They leaked something. I think it was a month ago. It was just like 2 screenshots, and one of the screenshots it shows that it's gonna be Modern Warfare based. So kind of like it's obviously gonna be like maybe like 20 years in the future, something like that. But it's Modern Warfare based, and the shot showed, I think it was either 3 or 2 helicopters like getting into an island, and it really gave me that vibe of Battlefield 4. Whenever you had like the coastal maps, and I was like, this looks sick, and it kind of, I don't want to say looks just like it. It kind of looks a little bit like the color palette of Battlefield 3, which is not my favorite because it was so freaking blue. I thought it was gonna get blind, but it kind of looks like that. And
Okay.
I'm really excited to see what they got. And also, they said that this is gonna be, because they said it on every Battlefield game, it's gonna be the biggest servers on Battlefield. If I'm not wrong, it's gonna be teams of 50, so 100 players on a map with the Frostbite engine. That's freaking huge. That's so freaking big and huge, and it's gonna be so chaotic. I hope it does good. That's my hope. I hope it does good. I'm open that it might not be that good, but I really hope it's good.
Let's hope it does well. But now we have a couple of delays, okay? And it's the fact that the next God of War, aka God of War Ragnarok, will be delayed until 2022. But it will come for PlayStation 4 too. I have a couple of stuff that I'm going to say about it. And Sony isn't certain that Horizon Forbidden West will make a holiday 2021 launch. Now, sure, it's important to add for delays on games that are coming out. What it's not okay, it's people threatening, insulting the developers of God of War Ragnarok, saying that why the game isn't coming out or anything. And this is the same shit that we went through with Cyberpunk. Like, the guys who were at CDPR Red came to a point that they were almost forced into releasing an incomplete game. Like, yeah, CDPR Red, it's at fault, but the fans were some of the most obnoxious people I've ever seen on Twitter, on social media, and everything. And first of all, I saw a teaser. I saw the teaser of God of War Ragnarok last year, and I thought that's one of those games that needs to come out well.
Yes.
Bar none. Like, this
Totally.
is there hasn't been, the only God of War that wasn't good was Ascension, and it was still pretty good if you think about it. But when it comes to God of War, there can't be like a half-assed game, especially how they left God of War 2018, the premise that they built. And the name is Ragnarok, the end of the world for the Norse gods, the apocalypse.
I think not only that, I think that the fact that God of War, and I mean the 2018, did so freaking well. Like, it got Game of the Year editions, Ultimate editions. Like, it's a game that people still play to this day because the replayability is so freaking good. It does need to be delayed. If it's to be delayed because it needs to get better, no problem at all. Like, do it. I understand there is a really toxic community under that, but I think that at the end, if you manage to deliver like a good game, and not only that, God of War can actually get a lot of like, let's say, like a push, because since Cyberpunk went through the same thing, they delayed, they got the death threats and all that, but if they release a really good game, like a genuinely really good game, that's a big push, because people are going to say, oh, this is how you really delay a game, this is how you actually have to delay a game. The only thing that I'm afraid, whenever they delay and they go, oh, it's gonna be on PS4. If you say it's gonna be on PS4, is because please, it's gonna be playable on the PS4. Like, yes, the biggest difference has to be that in PS5 it's beautiful, it's so freaking beautiful, but in PS4 it's gonna be beautiful nevertheless. But you're gonna be able to play it. Like, it's gonna be playable really good.
Let's roll that back. Stop releasing PlayStation 5 exclusives on the PlayStation 4. Like, this
Also,
needs to
there's a
stop.
point.
Because, okay, we said it last week that the PlayStation 5 is reporting poor game sales figures.
Yes.
We said it last week. And why is that? Well, because Sony didn't do anything about the scalpers. They have huge numbers for consoles sold, but they have very diminishing returns when it comes to games sold. And isn't that fucking weird?
I mean, yes. The thing is, like, if they decided to win, here's the thing: we also don't know the exact reason why they would go to PS4, because I even remember that when they announced Ragnarok, they said like, "Oh, PS5." No, like, yeah, this game is gonna take some time, guys. Don't worry, PS5. If they made a decision for the PS4, that actually raises some alarms, because why? Like, that's the biggest question, because they could have a million reasons to it, and we don't know them. But if you're gonna deliver on that, then here's the thing: if you deliver something on PS4, then it has to be a different experience for the PS5 one. Like,
Of
they're gonna say like, oh,
course.
like,
Yeah.
you're gonna play this in PS4, and yeah, you're gonna play it, but in PS5, I don't know, Kratos is gonna grab you by the scream and get you inside the game, and he's gonna freaking make you kill everyone, and you're gonna be like, so cool.
We
Like,
had this
I don't
conversation
know.
before. Like we said, for example, when Breath of the Wild came for the Wii U and the Switch, when you bought the Switch, you were not only buying a better console, you were essentially buying a whole gimmick with it. The idea of switching between home console gaming and portable gaming. You were experiencing a full game, and Breath of the Wild was able to sweeten the deal for a huge amount of people. I didn't get a Switch until 2018. I waited a whole year. I got a bunch of games on release, and it was fantastic. But the thing is that a lot of people, the PlayStation 5 doesn't have that. The PlayStation 5 is essentially a PlayStation 4 Pro with even better graphics, if you think about it. So if you have a PlayStation 4 Pro, there's no reason to go into the PlayStation 5, because there are not any games that are coming from that console that actually makes it worth it. For example, I wanted to buy a PlayStation 5 because I wanted to play Spider-Man Miles Morales, until I learned that it came on the PlayStation 4 too. So why would I spend the $500 for a new console, or whatever bullshit scalper price is there, for essentially the same experience?
Funny thing, this is not the first time it happens, now that I think about it, because there is an interesting case, but the thing is, like, the two consoles were extremely different from each other. That's the catch. I remember when Star Wars: The Force Unleashed came out, that it was just basically God of War, but you're a Jedi, and you're like, yes. I remember that you had a port on the PS3, which is PS3 and Xbox and all, like, new generations, which is like kind of like the original. You had a PSP one, of course, because you needed one, but you had a PS2 one, and the PS2 game was nothing like the PS3 game. It was just nothing. It was nothing like it. You didn't have the roll duck mechanics. You didn't have like all the force moving stuff. You had an experience, but it was not the whole experience. That case, it worked, because you were saying, "Oh my God!" In the PS3 version, I can actually grab two stormtroopers, make them grab each other on the air, and then launch them. And then in the PS2, I just pushed. Yes, in that case, it worked, and I hope that PlayStation is not saying, oh, it's gonna work for PS4 and PS5 because it's like you said, PS5 is like PS Pro Plus, basically.
Mhm.
And yes, PS5 has better triggers. PS5 has these things. Totally, I agree with you. But we haven't seen any game as of now. Any like it's not even like a original. Just a game that you say, "Holy shit,
Let's
this
go.
is the
Let's do
evolution
a
of
small
gaming."
rundown of PlayStation 5 games that are not only not exclusives, but they are not worth the buying the console, but buying the console outright. So number one, we have Outriders. It was plagued with bugs. It has an inventory wipe bug that it's currently they're currently trying to fix it, but they haven't been that successful. So no. You have Godfall, which didn't do much for a bunch of people. You have Marvel's Avengers that has been plagued with problems from release date. May I continue? Like, there aren't any games on it. One of my favorite creators called Kadikarus said, did a video during the first weeks of release of the PlayStation 5, and the video was titled, Spending $1,000 in a console that doesn't have any games on it. And I have seen defenders of the PlayStation 5 saying, but you can play PlayStation 4's in better 4 games in better resolution. Why the fuck would you buy a $500 console for better graphics of games that you already have in another console? It's like buying a Wii U to play HDMI Wii games. Or buying the Wii to play the GameCube. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. You need to sell me something that makes sense. From the PlayStation 5, the only thing I want to buy is the controller. Because it looks comfortable as hell. And that's it.
I'll take this as my last thought on this, is that I really hope that the biggest surprise we get on E3 are the exclusives. Like, I wanted that the E3 is gonna say, hey, here are our games, they finally came, and I can say, okay.
But they need to come soon. The problem is that the only one that we know right now are Ratchet and Clank and Horizon Forbidden West. And we already know for a fact that Forbidden West is also coming to PC. So if you already have a PC, why the fuck would you buy a PlayStation 5?
I mean, even if it's not like super soon, even if they say like, oh, it's gonna come for Christmas, for example, because a lot of people might buy a PS5 on Christmas, that's fine. That's totally fine. If you keep just putting ports of PS4 to PS5, be sure that Xbox is gonna freaking kick your ass because let's remember, E3, they're gonna launch Infinite, like Halo Infinite. They're gonna kick your ass on sales of game. I don't care if you have Horizon. I don't care if you get Ratchet and Clank. It's freaking Halo.
And also, PlayStation doesn't have a panel in this E3. They don't have a spot. They don't have a show.
That's... Oh, Jesus. This is gonna be...
These guys are essentially doomed. They're not doing anything. They're like the same guy that went against Nintendo without a lawyer.
Yeah, basically. They're like, here's my console. Where's the game? What game?
What game?
What game?
Where's your lawyer? What lawyer? What's the lawyer?
No plan.
Pere, please conclude this episode so you can go to sleep.
Well, there's nothing much to say, to be honest. It's been a wild ride. It's been played with pretty bad freaking decisions all around. Some big, some small, some that will cost millions, maybe billions of dollars. Who knows?
Absolutely.
And, well, nobody's making a damn attempt to fix it.
So when are you getting your PlayStation 5?
Whenever they bring out new games, and even then, I think I'll buy the Switch Pro. Even if they don't do anything. I mean, just the
I'm-
fact that they leaked it, I know they will.
I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I
They
would
will
much
put out
prefer
games.
spending the money on a Switch Pro rather than spending it on a PlayStation 5.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna announce like, hey, you wanna play Battlefield 6? You need a PS5, and I'll buy 3 to play the game 3 times. I'll buy 3. I'll just get like, yeah, it works.
I'll save you,
okay?
Sony. I'll save you.
I'll
Like,
save
people
you
are gonna
all
people
by
are gonna come to
myself.
my house. People are gonna come to my house and gonna be like, "Oh, you have a PS5? What are the games?" The game, you mean? Like, there's nothing else other than Battlefield. There's not even Netflix on this. Where do you watch Netflix? On my PS4.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's it for today's episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of our content, consider subscribing for weekly release of the Boys Chat. We will see you guys pretty soon. Take care.